A very good day to Dr. Nofariza. My name is CHITTANA underscore Somsa. So I'm going to present my assignment 1 for the Automotive Component Manufacturing course. So the component that I choose is connecting rod. So connecting rod is a part of the piston engine component, as you can see here. The process that I'll be choosing is the forging process. There's another process which is casting process, but for this assignment I'm going to focus on the forging process. So the first step is the selection of material, which is steel and cast iron. I'm going to choose the cast iron. So first you have to cut the cast iron, and then we have to heat the billets to a temperature at 500 to 600 degrees Celsius, and it undergoes for hot forging, which is metal is deformed, the strain hardening effects, and then to the piercing, to the trimming, the shot blasting, to the machining, which is deburring, and also the machining of the top surface, and going on to the fracture splitting, then assembly of the connecting rod, insertion of the bearing shell, insertion of the bearing bushes, and finally the inspection of the connecting rod. The static analysis. Okay, moving on to applying the material, which is the grey cast iron. After applying it, we were moving on to the fixtures, to the fixed geometry, by choosing the main hole that is connecting to the piston head. Moving on to the external load. After selecting the face, we will move to the changing the Newton to 2000 Newton and selecting the fixture, which is the static fixture. To select the fixture, we should select the edges to get a long edge following the direction of the external load just now. Moving on to the mesh. The mesh, I only changed the parameter for the global size to 4 mm and not changing the cause of the fine. After moving on to the mesh, proceed to run the study. Okay, after running this study, as we can see, 2000 Newton is still acceptable. And animate to see the direction flow. Okay, the second test will be thermal analysis. Select the thermal. Moving on to applying the material of the connecting rod, which is the same material, the grey cast iron. And proceed to the thermal loads, as there are no connections for this part. This is only one part. Okay, for the thermal loads, we will select the convection. Okay, for the convection, I select all exposed faces with a convection coefficient of 250 watts and bulk ambient temperature to a 300 Kelvin. Moving on to the heat power, also similar, selected all the exposed part to a 25 watts. Okay, why we select all the exposed faces? Because this part is in the engine, so all area are exposed. Okay, next for the mesh. For creating the mesh, we will select the same one. Moving on to run this study. Okay, as you can see here, the temperature given is acceptable.